Alright, made it back from the Jellicle Ball. But what should we do? Turkey? China? No, I have it. Hello everybody, Bubblezest here, and this is Hearts of Iron 4. In today's video, we're going to be playing as Ethiopia, going for the achievement, this time for Africa. So, let's get started. Of course, the main thing we need to focus on as Ethiopia at this point is the army. But the setup is pretty standard at this point. We have our Chechet divisions in the south on this fallback line, and for the remaining 12 we have them on 2 fallback lines, 8 in the north and 4 next to a sewer. And that is pretty much all of our prep out the way. So let's do our focus, the Second Italo-Ethiopian War, go up to speed 4, and begin. Right now though, we must begin our retreat. Remember what we say to pins? We just say no. With 10 political power, as usual, let's recall Baluko Safo from retirement. There we go. The south with you. And Italy's beginning to get rid of a sewer. And there they go. We'll move 2 units in. And there we go. We can now have a proper front line. At this point, it's going to be the pretty standard Ethiopia defense. When some units get tired, we'll withdraw them, put more units in, and so on. I won't be too specific with the micro, because it is pretty standard and I think most people know it at this point. That buff will be very useful. Next up, let's rally around the Emperor. The last time we played Ethiopia, the Emperor went into exile, but this time, the Emperor will stay. And hey, for once we can actually use him as a field marshal. Going to give him the traits charismatic and organisation first. Very useful traits considering our circumstances. Although why he has the trait imprisoned emperor is beyond me. As far as I know, this trait isn't even used anywhere. I'm sure someone does know though. 1st of April, now let's improve relations with Mongolia and Tenatuva for Lend-Lease. Now that the emperor is here for the long haul, let's affirm that the lion stands firm. And also, since we're below 50% stab, let's activate worker conditions. Last thing we need is strikes. Let's go for a military high command, starting off with the infantry specialist. He gives more defense than the actual defense guy we have, so may as well go for him first. Well, that is good news. This part of the war is the most dangerous for us, and we've done pretty well. All things said, however, that army defense specialist will be invaluable, so let's get him. I think that'll do for this tree for the moment. Now instead, let's get ourselves a military academy. Well, I'm glad Mongolia finally had equipment after 3 months. When it comes to ministers you should hire for traits such as like a resource penalty, you have 2 pretty good options. To be honest, I'd say go for the one you think is more useful for your situation. For me, I'm going to go for the -21. When it comes to the military academy, I stand by that the only option you should do is the top one. It's so powerful. And now let's do the heroes of Ethiopia. Let's make this an Ethiopian-led movement. I know, it affects the balance of power, but for the run that we're doing, the balance of power doesn't really matter that much. Even then, you can eventually get back to the right side of the balance of power and expand the Mahao Safari. These guys in Gondar are straight up not having a good time, are they? But still, they hold. Finally, 50 XP. Victory or death time. Very useful for Ethiopia. The time has now come for us to develop Showa. 2 free civs. Nice. Great. Now, we've gotten this far with our equipment plus Mongolia's and Tanatuva's equipment, but you know what would be better? Even more equipment. So let's do scavenging techniques. Let's see if we can't get some more of the Italians, you know? If they're going after us, it's fair game. Alright, now we're going to give Haile Selassie Logistics Wizard. I know one thing for sure though, if I didn't do Logistics Wizard, someone's day would have been ruined. Nice. Now let's grab the Abuna. Stab is still quite precarious, so this extra 5 will be useful. First year has pretty much gone by very smoothly. Casualties, acceptable. Situation, stable. That's funny. Haile Selassie actually got Scavenger, but none of the other generals we're using got the trait. Hey, it's already coming in useful. Neat. Now let's get some more help with volunteers. That's like 2,000 free equipment. Very nice. You know, if I don't bring this up, I know someone else will. At this point with the balance of power, we also have access to localised education reforms. And sure, we may as well do it. I don't do it that often though, because while 5% is kind of useful, it isn't that much when you think about it. But hey, we may as well take it today, since I said the balance of power doesn't matter that much. Okay, looks like Mongolia and Tenatuth are out of equipment to give. Oh well, that's okay. Instead, we'll improve relations with Germany. They should have some equipment to give us. Believe it or not, that like 2-day rest is the longest rest these divisions have had in months. So, what are we going to do with this extra equipment? Well, it's quite simple. We're going to use it to train up 6 extra Tetets. These extra units will be very useful for what we're planning, I'll say that much. And with that, I'm glad to say, the moment has finally arrived for us to do renewed offensive. Our moment is coming. And in even better news, our army morale is improving. Nice. At this point, I don't think Italy can stop us. So Germany doesn't have equipment? I guess I'm a bit out of touch with the Lend-Lease game, because I thought at this point they would. Maybe later then. The moment is here and the time is now. Let's do Victory in the Desert. If any of you can actually make Northern Thrust work, good on you, because I've not been able to do it. Anyway, let's deploy our Tetets. All of them are going to be in the south. Ooh, that was too close. Okay, something's clearly not right, because why is this tile empty? That doesn't make sense. It's almost like Italy's goading me into doing Victory in the North. But I'm not doing it. Sure, the south has been silent for the longest time, but the south is always the easier of the two to break. Mountains, hills, mountains, hills. You get the idea. Alright, let's go. Main thing of course is to break out, encircle, and push on the Somali ports. Even if Italy has some extra units like this infantry or mountaineer, we should get pretty far. Next focus though, mercenaries. Wait, mercenaries? I know some guys. Not sure this is what Paradox had in mind, but anything for Ethiopia. Don't forget though, wherever you go on offensive, keep an eye on your other front line. Can't afford to lose that. Oh, and look who is last standing. The Hoi4 never learned its lesson, does it? There will be no pins. Finally begin to get somewhere, and in no irony, we're going to pin some Italian units. And another encirclement Goth. But look who finally woke up. Thank you, Germany. And there we go, first port down. Make sure to leave 2 units behind. Last thing you want is to lose it to a naval invasion. Now we're going to attempt to encircle Mogadishu. Don't need to focus on these units here for now, we can deal with them later. And got it, let's flush it out. And done. Remember, leave some units behind, don't want to be naval invaded. Perfect. And with that encirclement, that's all of Italy wiped out from Somalia. The remaining 11 divisions or so can go to the north. Let's also add those mercenaries to the front. For now, in absence of any other focus I want to do, lessons of war. Anyway, here comes the fun part, the reorganisation of the front line. Yay! It's rarely that bad, but I always tremor when thinking about it. We do have a bit of a deficit, but I think it's time to go again. We'll target Italy's weak divisions, these ones. and we'll try to push for the port. If we take this port, it's over for Italy. Got to be careful though, I'm expecting a load of divisions there. No, 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 you are not reinforcing that battle. You're just not. Right, Italy wants to pin. Remember what we say to pins? We just say no. And got it, and the port of Eritrea is open. Oh, of course, suddenly a unit appears there. You saw that, right? That unit literally appeared out of nothing. Italian offer of peace? Nope, not today. Right, gotta keep moving. We must encircle the port. And good, opened up the front very nicely with that. And look, Italy randomly brings some extra units in, even though as far as I know, they're not meant to do that. You know what, I'm feeling risky. Force attack. Nice, nice. Another force attack. The port is breaking. Almost there. And got it. Nice. Right, we can stop at this point for the moment and reorg. We can let Italy attrition and all of that. At this point, if you want to do fait accompli, that is fair enough. We have the majority control of Eritrea, so we should get it in the peace out. So if you want to, be my guest. What I'm going to do, though, is at least one other focus. Let's do state-owned industry for the moment. We're mostly doing this for extra Lend-Lease, if I'm honest. Lend-Lease is going to be very useful for us. Can finally take the speed up as well. I've been waiting to do that for ages. Waited long enough. Let's begin to push them out. Going to try and encircle them all and then flush. Whoa, 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 whoa. Too close, nearly let the port fall. Almost forgot what I was saying earlier. Defend the ports. Okay, I've clearly put it off long enough. Let's start fait accompli. We should flush out Italy by then. And the last stand of the Italians. How many divisions? 12. And there's nothing at all to be done about that. Italy has been kicked out of Ethiopia for good. Final losses. Not our best performance, but definitely not Mussolini's best either, so I guess it evens itself out. Oh, just give up, man. Now, just before this focus finishes, I should note one thing. Italy can say no to this and the war will continue. However, this is not a bad thing. Italy saying no is actually sort of beneficial for us, because it will result in uproar in the colonies, and eventually Libya will rise up against them, and Libya is needed for the achievement. So, if Italy says no, that's okay, you can continue your run, but if they say yes, that's just as good. And is Mussolini going to be sensible? Good man. White peace, it's over. And now, we begin the next stage, the achievement. Let's immediately work our way down towards African unity. First up, rebuilding the country. Now let's reconvene the parliament and power the chambers. Let's truly get started with this achievement, towards African unity now. Now let's see if France will give us Djibouti. I'm even improving relations with them. Anyway, here are our new decisions from the African Union. To get the achievement, we need at least 13 countries with the capitals in Africa, and so we're going to have to cause quite a few African nations to rise up against their colonizers. The first thing we have to do is to support anti-imperial resistance, so let's do it. We're starting with nationalist Spain's colonies because, as you can see, since the Civil War has just ended, their compliance on their colonies is relatively low, so this will make resistance quite easy for us. So we're going to expand into all of their colonies to start. Once you've expanded the resistance, you'll get access to this decision, arming the resistance. Now, I will say this as clearly as I can. Do not do this decision until resistance in your territory has reached 60%. Otherwise, it will not work. I'll elaborate a bit more on this later, but I've done this myself. Do not do this until the time is right. Very nice. For focuses you should be doing, I would heavily suggest doing King of Kings and Elect of God, only for the extra compliance gain, because eventually you'll be able to release Eritrea and Somalia as collaboration governments, which, as far as I know, do count for the achievement. But apart from these two focuses, there are no real focuses I'm going to heavily suggest going after. All of them are pretty much as good as each other, make your own judgment. There we go, all Spanish states now have resistance. The next states you should focus on are ones that Britain and Belgium holds. You shouldn't focus on France. France is a bit of a problem. Well, yes, you can expand into them. Eventually, of course, they'll fall and Vichy will be formed. And because Vichy has a German guarantee, any country that you cause to rise up from Vichy will immediately cause Vichy to join the Axis. Now, of course, you can still do it and expand all the same and it won't matter too much, but it is something you should keep in mind. But again, choice is up to you. For me, I'm going to start off by expanding in Somaliland and then going for the Belgian Congo. Alright, the resistance in Equatorial Guinea is at 60% now. That means we can finally arm the resistance. That will give an extra 30% resistance in Equatorial Guinea, which is more than enough for them to rise up. And it has begun. And we can demand Spain recognises their independence. So, I won't lie to you, at this point, you really should be save scumming. Because what the AI says to the save can change from save to save. Sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no. But it will make your life a lot easier if you save scum this. Of course, some of you don't like to save scum, and that's okay, but I would heavily suggest that you do. Let's see what Spain says. Very sensible. They let Equatorial Guinea go. Alright, at this point I'm probably going to jump to all of the countries I get independent. This will take a bit of time, but shouldn't take too long. If I have anything else to say, I'll cut in at any point. Next up, Western Sahara. Good. Remember, for a state to rise up, its average resistance needs to be 90% among all of its states. So sure, Sidi Ifni can reach 90%, but if the average with Spanish Africa isn't 90%, Morocco won't rise up. Morocco now. And with that, all Spanish colonies have been liberated. Okay, sorry for the sudden cut there. My OBS got stuck on a frame and we've lost around 15 minutes of footage. That's okay though. All that you've missed is the liberation of Somalia, Rwanda and Burundi. And at this point we're going on to the liberation of the Congo. And with that, the Belgian Congo is no more. Interesting, we now have a provisional government in Eritrea. I think if we release them, it does count for the achievement, so you may as well. By doing Develop the Horn of Africa, you also unlock a load of decisions, like these. And eventually it ends with you being able to reintegrate them. And if you scroll all the way down here, we can even get calls on them. So you may as well invest. I don't know if releasing another Somalia will count for the achievement though. And with our expansion into the final Portuguese colonial state, we can also activate anti-Portuguese propaganda. As far as I know, this is probably the best way to take advantage of this, but use it in whichever way you see fit. To be honest though, if you want to make this whole thing easier for yourself, don't go for multi-state nations like I've done. Go for ones that are like one state, like Tanzania, Malawi, Zimbabwe, etc. Only go for the multi-states when you have nothing left. Alright, Portuguese Guinea, let's do this. Now that's what we like to see. Ooh, that's good. Free France has just managed to flip West Africa to itself, which now means we can expand into the Middle Congo, Gabon, Cameroon, Chad. That's great. This month's agenda, Angola. Freedom, that's what we like to see. And let's make this a quartet. Let's liberate the final Portuguese African colony, Mozambique. Don't know how Salazar's going to explain this one. Portuguese Africa is finished. Well, Vichy France didn't last long, did they? Everything is in place. Tanzania, time to rise up. And with that, we are done. Tanzania is our 13th member, and we get the achievement, this time, for Africa. Alright, technically they're our 14th member, but I don't know if we're counting Ethiopia and Somalia or not, so I decided to play it safe. You know, it's funny. This time for Africa has a surprisingly low get rate, but the achievement itself is surprisingly simple. Though I admit I can probably see why that is the case. It can be kind of tedious if you don't understand it, but if you do, the achievement isn't that hard at all. And you know, I really like how this is set up. This is a much better version of Anti-Colonialist Crusade. This is what South Africa should have, because this is so much more in depth. You know what, we can still do a little bit more, so let's form the Horn of Africa. Good, they all said yes. And let's form it. Nice. So, until next time everybody, I thank you for watching, do hope you've enjoyed it, and until next time, from me, Bubble Zest, goodbye.